8 shots on target to 1. Morocco brought their best to Gillette Stadium, and France made them look like they'd never played football before. Welcome back to World Goals. Today, in why Morocco's plan collapsed before halftime, the Mbappé stat that tells the whole story, and what this France side is about to do to the rest of this tournament. Let's be honest about something. Morocco came into this knockout tie with a reputation. They were the story of 2022, the African Giants, the team that proved anything was possible. And at Gillette Stadium, that story ran headfirst into a wall called France. Here's the thing people don't want to say out loud. Morocco's defensive structure, the one that made them heroes 4 years ago, didn't just get beaten. It got picked apart methodically, surgically, almost before the crowd had settled. France pressed high and pressed early. They forced errors in positions that gave Morocco no time to recover. And then, 28 minutes in, it was over in spirit, if not yet on the scoreboard. Mbappé. Of course it was Mbappé. That first goal wasn't lucky, it wasn't a fluke. It was the direct consequence of France applying pressure in exactly the zones where Morocco were most vulnerable, the wide channels, the space behind the fullbacks when they pushed forward. France identified it before kickoff. Morocco had no answer, and here's the thing. That was only the beginning, because the real damage hadn't even happened yet. 8 shots on target to 1. Read that again. In a knockout World Cup match, at this stage, that is not a scoreline. That is a mismatch. That stat alone tells you everything about who controlled this game and who was simply trying to survive it. Morocco managed one. 1 shot on target across 90 minutes of football at a World Cup knockout tie. That is the most damning number in this entire story because it means their attacking players, talented, experienced, dangerous in their own right, were so suffocated by France's defensive shape that they barely existed. Now, let's talk about Mbappé. Because 60 minutes in, he scored his second, and that goal killed whatever Morocco had left emotionally. You could feel it. 2-0 to France, and Dembélé added a third just 6 minutes later to make it absolutely certain. 3 goals, 8 shots on target. France were ruthless, relentless, and never looked threatened. But here's the question that nobody in the punditry world is asking yet. Is this French side actually peaking at exactly the right moment? Because if they are, everyone else in this tournament has a serious, serious problem on their hands. Morocco leave this World Cup with their heads held as high as they can be after a night like this. They got here. They competed. But France exposed the gap between a very good team and a genuinely elite one. And that gap on this evidence is enormous. France moved forward, and here's the uncomfortable truth. They look like the team to beat. Not just in this tournament. Full stop. Mbappé with a brace, Dembélé with a goal. 6 minutes after coming into the game as a factor, and a defensive record that made Morocco's attacking players invisible. This isn't a France side that's grinding through games on effort and luck. This is a team operating with the cold, calculated efficiency of a side that believes it is destined to win this trophy. And on a night like this at Gillette Stadium, in a knockout game that should have been tense, they made it look easy. The most dangerous team in this World Cup just sent a message to every side left in the draw. Whether anyone is ready to hear it is another question entirely. But after this, after 8 shots on target to 1, the message is impossible to ignore. So here's the debate. Is this the most complete France side we've ever seen at a World Cup? Or is the real test still to come? Drop your take in the comments, share this with a France or Morocco fan, and subscribe to World Goals for the sharpest World Cup 2026 analysis every day.